It's Wednesday, February 29th, 2012. It's the 404 show on CNET TV. I'm Jeff Aguilar.
I'm Steve Guttenberg.
And I'm Justin Yu. This is the show where we're all young again.
Yep. Steve brings the average age to the show down to 22.
Yeah.
And with leap year, we're all turning 5 years old this year.
That's it. And it's only be the second anniversary of 404.
That's right.
Yeah.
This is technically the second leap year show we've ever done.
Right.
But Steve's on the show. You love crap like this. I feel like this is your bread and butter. Weird sort of cultural, oddities that afflict people once every 60 years or something like that. Leap year is a strange situation.
I have a challenge for Steve. I want you to explain leap year in the simplest way possible. Can you do it in under 3 sentences?
Yeah.
Because I'm finding it a very hard concept.
You don't get it?
I get it. 365 days,
right.
And we were always 365 days, we would be losing.
Right.
We would be a day behind every 4 years.
So we have to make it up by skipping one day.
Out. We got to add a day every now and then.
So
every 4 years.
To me, the easiest way to explain it is that it takes the Earth 365 days and 6 hours to rotate around the sun, right?
You nailed it.
And that's what it is.
It's like Prometheus or something.
I'm just trying to bring it down into terms that even our friend Justin Yu can digest.
Uh-huh.
And that's how leap year works. So every 4 years, when that remainder equals 1 day, it's got to be 366.
Yeah.
That's it.
Why it was February and not, March 32nd or something.
If you want to get into why February gets the short end of the stick and only starts with 28 days.
It was the shortest.
And they're like, hey, we got to tack on a day.
It was the shortest day.
Can't have one of these months walking around with 32 days, can we?
How come they didn't have a couple months with only 29 days instead of just skipping a couple days in February? That's what I don't understand.
Because then you're...
Why take it all out of February? That's
because
kind of
it's much easier to travel back in time than it is forwards in time. You can't just hedge your bet like that. You can't push your luck.
For leap year, you need an infographic. That is one of the only more complicated
I just explained it to you in very easy to understand terms.
Nope, still don't get it.
Are you serious?
No, of course I get it. Yeah, I watched the video about what leap year
I was about to, request a lobotomy on Mr. Yu over there.
But anyway, it was 40 years ago.
Yeah.
Today.
Yeah.
April 29th. I mean, February 29th.
There we go.
Yeah, I'm old. I get these months mixed up. I met my first wife.
No crap.
And changed the course of my life.
Sure.
I would have 3 fast years.
What happened?
Yeah. Let's get into the details.
So the reason I met her...
Is she listening to this podcast right now?
I hope not.
I hope not for her sake as well.
I'm going to say things that she'd be embarrassed.
Sure.
Okay.
So go on.
But anyway,
then.
it was very warm, like it is now.
Yeah.
It was 65 or 70 degrees. And it wasn't like now where it's been warm all along. It was just like this weird day. Bam,
so one day of unseasonably warm
1972, it was really, really warm.
Right.
And I was unemployed.
Okay.
Shockingly. So, and I was an artist. So I got on the subway. I lived in Far Rockaway. I went to the city. I got off in the village. I went to Washington Square Park with a bunch of my art. And I thought this would be a perfect day to sell art.
Sure.
So I was selling some art. But then I see this woman, and I walk over to her to show her my art, and the rest is history. So we got together.
No way.
And then we became movie theater projectionists together.
What?
And she was a musician, so she got me into the whole music biz, and we built a harpsichord together. We got a lot done in 3 years.
That is a very heartwarming story.
This actually is. So I guess thanks to leap year and thanks to that
if it
weird,
wasn't 65
unseasonably
degrees that
warm
day, my whole life literally would have been different. Absolutely.
But you got divorced.
Well,
right?
It had its run.
How long were you with her?
3 years.
3 magical years.
We didn't make it
even make it to the next leap year. That's a bummer, man.
No, it all worked out.
All right, and I guess you're better for the experience.
She's better. I'm better. Everybody's
You're happily
better.
married now?
I'm happily married. Everybody's good.
Everyone's fine and dandy.
Yes.
That's pretty cool, man.
Very strange.
Very, very strange.
You know how it's just like something happens and then everything changes.
Yeah.
It's like a butterfly effect, right? If the weather hadn't been warm that day, if you hadn't been in Washington Square
But that's
Park.
really no way to think about things.
No?
No.
Tell me why.
And I have a big problem with people who say like, well, if I
Was it
didn't
meant
get out
to
of that
be?
cab,
Yeah.
well, you know what? That's the way life works. Life is just a series of choices and random collisions in nature.
You're right.
Yeah.
And you can't think about what would be because that does not exist. Maybe in some 11th dimension it does,
Right.
but in the universe that we all seem to occupy, you can't get into stuff like that. You know what I mean? Oh, if I like what happens a lot in sports. You know, oh, if he just shot the puck 3 inches more to the left, it would have went in.
Right.
Well, he didn't, and this is what happened. People are a lot of.
That's a
ifs.
very unromantic way to look at
you're
it.
bringing
Though.
it.
I mean,
all right,
you're bumming me out.
I'm bringing it down to the you know.
I told this perfectly romantic story.
No,
You're
and-
bringing
and,
it to hockey.
and it's that's the thing. You're right.
least romantic.
That's very selfish of me. But it's that's what happened.
Right.
And,
That's what
and things happen. Yeah, I don't know. I'm much more sort of like straightforward.
Shiz happens.
Shiz happens. I don't believe.
Indeed.
Do you? So are you a man who believes in things like destiny and fate?
No,
Of course not.
Whatever happens.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but you can go back and say, hey, wasn't I fortunate? Sure, I guess you can say stuff like that, and it changed your life for the next 3 years.
Well, it was the starting point was that it wasn't that it was leap year. It was that it was February 29th in a very cold winter, and it was really warm that day.
Right.
If it wasn't, then everything else would have
That's cool. So you can bring it back to that and say, yeah.
It's a similar temperature today. Do you think I should head down to
Yes.
Washington Square Park
Yeah.
and find love?
I think so.
Yeah,
With your art.
I have no art though. I have this piece of
I think
paper with
your
404
art.
notes
I
on
think
it.
you got your own art.
My personal art.
Yeah.
You are. You're
My
a
life
walking
is art.
You're a walking, talking piece of art.
That's right.
Or
piece of something.
or garbage, whatever. There's a fine line. So something's going on with Instant Messenger. Justin and I are really freaking out over this.
Yeah.
I've had a screen name that I used for literally 15 plus
Literally.
years.
Yes.
Everyone, this is like the first handle I ever had. It's
Yeah.
my Xbox handle. It's my
Is it the S one? The one that
it's the one
starts
that
with
starts
an
with
S? Oh, that's a
and
pile of garbage.
I go after yourself.
I
I
don't like
can't sign on Instant Messenger anymore with
That
this name.
same thing happened to me.
What
I
is
had
going
a
on?
screen name that I had been using for about 10 years, maybe not as long as you.
Yeah.
And then the other day, Meebo just wouldn't let me sign in. Thought it was a Meebo problem. Signed on using Adium. These are
Yeah.
all very first world problems.
Yeah.
But
No,
it wouldn't let me sign
This
on.
is not a first world
And it
problem.
was devastating because I have a lot of friends, and there's still no service that lets you just IM everybody with a screen name
I
change.
tried doing AIM Express. Steve's
Right.
looking at us like we got
What are you
4,000
talking
heads.
about?
You don't know what Instant Messenger
Talking about
is?
AIM.
You know what
AOL
Instant Messenger? You don't
Messenger.
know what that is?
No.
Shut
Is
up.
AOL for old people?
So
What?
how come you don't know about it? Oh, I'm kidding.
But you know what AOL is, though, right?
You don't know?
Yes, I
Dude,
do. I used to have it till I
so-
could get rid of it.
You're gonna look at me
Yeah.
and you're gonna say you don't know what Instant Messenger is.
Do you chat with your friends online?
Never.
You've never
That's why.
sent
I
an
believe
Instant
in
Messenger.
telephones.
I mean, we all believe in them; they exist. But do you actually?
Why type when you can talk?
Because
See,
there's
I
not-
want to make fun of Steve for not knowing what
Go ahead.
AOL Instant Messenger is.
tough.
But it's tough because I feel like it's better that he doesn't.
better.
Like it's
true.
a good thing that he doesn't know what that is.
Because if
Yeah.
I did know, what would happen?
Because if you did know, you probably wouldn't have as many friends as you do now.
And you
probably
come off-
maintain a lot better friendship
Yeah.
with someone in person or on the phone.
Yeah,
Oh.
and you're the type of guy I want to talk to on the phone anyway.
Yeah.
You're not the type of guy I want to just like.
Your stories don't.
I don't even
yeah.
like emails, particularly for
Yeah, your
communicating.
emails
if
are
you
always-
can communicate something like, meet me at 12, that's
Right.
cool as an email.
Sure.
But
Right.
once it gets more complicated and there's the back and forth
Yeah,
emails,
I agree.
they're just so irritating.
I'm with you.
Because you can
Yeah.
clear this up in 2 seconds on a phone.
Yeah, the day-to-day business world
If-
does not
you know,
operate that way anymore.
Imagine if the internet existed, but Bell
Yeah,
never invented the telephone.
right.
I'd say, damn, someday we're going to have a thing where we can actually talk to each other. But meanwhile, we're typing to each other.
We're just
Right.
like, oh, if we could just.
What an
It's definitely
advancement of
regressive.
technology that would be.
I guess it really. You're right. It's like it
We've
didn't
gone
matter.
backwards.
It
Right.
didn't matter what came first, the horse or the carriage here, because it was like, all right, well, we're typing. We've been typing to each other for a while,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
We've
Ne-
been sending Morse codes to each
Yeah.
other for the last
It's
140
been
years.
working okay. You're right. There does seem to be sort of
But
like
the
a
benefit
de-evolution.
of instant messenger service is that you can talk to multiple people at the same time that you're doing other things, which now that I'm saying the sentence doesn't sound like a very
That's a
good
good
thing
thing?
either.
That's
No. So yeah, AOL Instant Messenger was
For groups
this
of
thing in the
people, okay.
90s that came
And then-
out right after AOL did, so that
Yes.
if you didn't want to pay for the full-fledged service of AOL, you
Uh-huh.
could just sign up for AIM
Yeah, but
and get a screen name without paying for it.
right. The
Really?
thing was
Yeah. I
didn't know
though,
that.
but that's sort of right. Don't forget, you had it when you signed up for AOL. Like when you had to choose a screen name when you signed up for AOL.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
And that became your instant messenger name. And then your buddy list showed up one day in like AOL 2.0 or 3.0 or whatever
Yeah.
it was.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're like, what's this? I can double click on my friend Bobby and write to him.
Huh.
And
As opposed to emailing.
as opposed to calling him up and being like,
or
hey.
emailing.
Yeah.
Right.
So, needless to say, 15 years of using this name, and the last 48 hours I've been blocked out of it. I'm kind of starting to panic a little bit.
Because somebody has it.
I mean,
Somebody
think
stole
about
it from you.
like what? So
It's
what,
identity theft. Clearly.
That's not identity because it's
Someone's
affecting
chatting
him.
with your friends.
And I've been looking online. It's affecting a lot of people.
Oh.
People-
Yeah.
Right. And so I tried using AIM Express, which is like AOL's web-built sort of version of Instant Messenger, and it says I'm signing on too many times, and that's not.
Yeah,
right.
that happens
Something-
to me
So
too.
What is
that's
going
somebody
on?
else has your.
No. No one does because it's my password. It's like I just changed the password and I'm in
Oh.
there. You know, no one knows this
Because it's
password.
weird that on Monday, I try to leave a comment on somebody's Facebook thing,
Yeah.
and it wouldn't let me. It was like I was locked out of it.
Huh.
And I thought, okay, that guy just has some weird thing. But then I
Right.
try to do it with somebody else, and the same thing happened.
And it's still going on?
No, it stopped the next day.
All right. Well, maybe that's
But
just
it's
like a
a
little
s-
glitch in the matrix, in the Facebook matrix.
Yeah.
Similar kind of thing.
I'm
Something's
starting to
happening.
panic a little bit, and I want to get to the bottom of this. If
Yeah.
anyone can help Justin and I out, this screen name is like super, close to me. I really
Right.
want to hold on to this for AOL.
Yeah, I agree.
I hope it's not gone forever. That would
I hope
really...
it's not some kind of like Langolier in the servers of AIM that's just like eating up old screen names that
I
have
don't know,
expired over
right?
time. I don't
Someone
know.
killing
that
the...
sounds like a good theory.
I'm starting to get worried. I'm going to be away for a week, so hopefully by the time I get back, it's all fixed.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
Until then, you're radio silent to your friends or what?
I do a lot of GChat. I do a lot of Google Talk. I do a
Right.
lot of I have a CNET screen name I use.
I also have multiple screen names that I use for different friends. So that
Yeah.
some of them, if I don't want to talk to them, I
Right.
can kind of
Yeah.
cherry pick.
I'm
which
getting
one.
scared, man. Maybe I should just make a new screen name.
Yeah.
Prepare for the worst.
It's
I don't
time.
know. I need like a fallout shelter or something. Anyway, we're boring
So
Steve
did you
to death
guys
with
watch
this.
the Academy Awards?
Yes.
We did. Yeah.
That's good. I'm glad to hear.
I mean, I watched
you
a
know,
little bit of it.
I think of basically the Academy Awards are for old farts.
Well, with Billy Crystal doing
Yeah.
his cat skills
Exhibit A.
best,
Yeah.
I mean, it was
Yeah.
felt like I was at the Neville.
But that thing that who did they have last year? They had two young hosts.
They had James Franco
James Franco
and what's Anne Hathaway, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
As if having them on would make 20-somethings suddenly be interested in the Academy Awards.
Well,
But it was terrible though because people complained about James Franco being very.
lackadaisical
Bland. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
apathetic about
But the
the
thing
whole
is
thing.
that
Seems
most
stoned.
movies that are nominated for Academy Awards, I don't even mean just Best Picture, I mean editing,
Sure.
sound, anything. These are not movies that 20-year-olds go and see.
You're correct about
right,
that.
Right.
You
Movies that are Academy Award material are for old people.
Well, I don't want
Or
to say old
older
people.
people.
I want to say maybe
They're not
25
they're not
and up.
popular movies that are, other than Avatar or something. They're not movies that
Right.
huge
They're a
numbers
li-
of people see.
Isn't that what the MTV
it's an
Movie
elitist.
Awards is
It's
for?
an elitist academy.
It is. It tends to
basically.
be more cerebral. Those films, they
Yeah.
tend to be more high drama.
When the Hurt Locker won
Yeah.
for Best Picture, I think it had
Did it win
grossed-
Best Picture?
Yeah, it did.
Really?
Like 2 years ago, and I think it had grossed like maybe $20 million
Yeah.
at that point.
Right.
It's a tiny movie.
It is a very small
It
film.
won Best Picture, a
Yeah.
movie that, in other words, almost no one had actually seen.
Right, but the people who make these decisions saw it.
Well, Best Picture is voted by the entire Academy.
Right.
Best actors are voted by actors.
Right,
and
right, right.
editors Are,
Isn't
the
it
whole-
people who only have won Academy Awards before get to vote? Isn't that how it
No,
works?
no.
That's what someone told me. I was like, that seems sort of
Cronyism.
messed up.
Yeah.
A little bit of nepotism in there.
I don't even like Billy. I thought he was funny, actually. I don't even
He had
like
a
him. I
couple
think he's
good lines.
annoyingly- But I thought his best line was he said, I see people watching movies on their phones and stuff.
Yeah.
He says, I prefer to see movies on the big screen
Right,
on
right.
my iPad.
No, that's not bad.
That was good.
Yeah, he made a couple jokes that seemed to go over the heads of the entire audience, which was upsetting. Like when he would talk about how movies are no longer shot on film for the most part.
Yeah.
People were just like, they're just giving him, weird looks.
Uh,
That seemed to upset me. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if he'll be back next year.
I
He
don't-
lo- doesn't
I
he-
hope. He looked awful.
Billy
look-
Crystal
he
has
looks
had
like
a
an
lot
old
of
fart.
He just
Yeah.
looks
Like an old Jewy guy.
Yeah,
No
he
comment
is pretty. He does not hide that. And the thing he was wearing was so strange. He was wearing this like
What?
really odd tuxedo, like an old school 1930s
really?
Was it old
tuxedo.
style
Yeah.
tuxedo?
Didn't look, and
Yeah.
he had
He
a
looked like Mr. Peanut.
1930s tuxedo.
Who would
Yeah,
you
look at
pick?
him.
Who would you pick? Who would be the ideal host?
I don't know.
God, Billy Crystal's starting to look more and more like his character in The Princess Bride.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he's becoming a caricature
He
of his old
looks like
self.
the mime he played in Spinal Tap. You know what I mean?
Lettuce
Like
and tomato.
he looks just artificial.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It just doesn't make
Yeah,
sense.
because all that awful look, that's the result of plastic surgery.
I know.
That's him trying to look better.
I know it's not working for him, man.
fine, he can
Billy,
get old.
But
embrace the
seriously,
age.
who could be better? If you could personally pick, if it was put up to you, who would you take?
Yeah.
See Billy
He's
Crystal.
like one haircut away from just looking like this guy.
Yeah, that's not bad. Who would be a better guest? I don't know.
Host,
Host.
too.
Who would be a better host? I don't know.
You, Steve, I would love to see
I would.
you host
That would be
the
great.
Academy
You need the
Awards.
world's biggest teleprompter, but it was still, it would work.
I think I would go for Gilbert Gottfried.
Really?
I think a stand-up.
He's good
A
at
real stand-up.
I
not
like
a
him
guy
on the
who used to be a
roasts and
stand-up,
stuff
a guy
like
who
that.
is currently a
Yeah.
stand-up.
Yeah. No, I mean, personally, I think Ricky Gervais does a
Ricky
great
Gervais
job
would
at the
be
Golden Globes.
Yeah, yeah.
People despise him because they're scared to be made fun of,
Uh-huh.
and he would just tear the Oscars a new one.
Yeah.
And it would be great, and it would have the best ratings in a decade.
What about Jimmy Kimmel? I feel like Jimmy Kimmel is good. He's incendiary.
Has he done that? Hasn't he done
Has
it
he
before?
done the Academy? Not the Academy.
For some reason,
Awards.
that doesn't work. You
What
know,
about
like when John,
Conan? I would
remember
watch
when-
Conan
Yes,
do it.
Conan would be
Remember
great.
when Jon Stewart did it? How he
Yeah.
bombed?
Yeah.
But I didn't mind. I enjoy
Yeah.
Jon Stewart doing it. I
And
think
Letterman bombed on it.
I vote for Conan. Give it to Conan, man.
Yeah.
Let him get back in the saddle and do it. He would kill it.
Yeah.
He's
I think so.
hilarious.
I think you're right.
Him, Ricky Gervais. I vote for those dudes.
All right.
We'll
I'll
take.
talk to people.
Fine, you'll get that done. We'll take a break. More with Steve, the Gutman Sphere Guttenberg. After this, stick around. There's a whole lot more 404 going right after this.
This is the 404 MRFers, the show where we all sing songs.
This is Southbury from Jay, and you're listening to the 404, where a teacher listens with his class, and Peter Ha casually drops the F-bombs. What could possibly go wrong?
What's the worst that could happen?
He did?
Yeah, in the pre-show,
Oh.
which
Oh.
is fine. I mean,
Oh, he
people
didn't
say
realize.
things.
Yeah.
Wilson would have had a coronary. I mean,
Oh, that's fine.
he would have lost his mind. But it's all good.
I'm
Fine.
sure nothing those students haven't heard before. Those same
Exactly.
way worse things.
Or
in
have
high
just
school.
said before they got into class.
Right, exactly.
Or during class, for all we know.
Speaking of F-bombs,
Yeah.
mastered for iTunes? Is that like mastered for bullcrap?
Can I hear you
Polishing
do
a
transitional
turd?
material in like segues for the rest of my life? I'd be happy. Yes, Steve, you are correct. What
Mastered
the
for
F does that
iTunes?
mean?
Yeah.
What does that mean, really? Mastered for iTunes.
Where are you
Right?
reading that?
Bizarre. Well, there's this new thing they're promoting that
Right.
they making better sounding iTunes.
Right. That's like Kia coming out with a $100,000 car,
Yeah.
right? It's just like,
Or a $100,000 Mac.
yeah,
Donald's hamburger.
McDonald's hamburger. You know, it's like what's going on? What does it mean? Do you know what it means?
It means that Apple has provided guidelines to mastering engineers how to make their recordings sound better.
So when
That's
you're
what it means.
ripping all the audio information out of that
Right.
track,
Right.
here's how to do it in a way that we can certify it.
Yeah.
That's
That's
not.
but you summed it up perfectly.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the compression of music is essentially removing information
Exactly.
from the pure
A lot.
raw recording. A lot of information,
Crap loads.
more loads than we can ever understand. And now Apple comes along and says, "Hey, maybe there's a way to do that." So, how, I mean, there's obviously a reason they're doing this. Are they doing it because people have been complaining about the quality of music on iTunes, or is it a way for them to license
You
stuff
see,
out and get money?
It's like they're mixing up two different things.
Okay.
The mastering of the disc versus how the disc is made and the music is made and recorded in the first place.
Okay.
You know, I was at the Audio Engineering Society convention in New York maybe 3 or 4 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a yet another panel discussion about the loudness wars,
Mm-hmm.
which means keeping music loud all the time. So the soft strum on the guitar is loud as
Right.
full, blast.
Yeah.
And where it used to be that you just go up as high as you could to 0 and keep it as close to 0, which is the maximum level.
Sure.
Right.
So in this panel discussion, they said now 0 is not loud enough. Now we actually have to go beyond 0. And beyond 0 in
Beyond
digital
zero.
is pure 100% distortion. In analog, you can go over 0 and it just gets slightly more distorted.
Right. Crackly.
But in Digital, when you go over, there's nothing there, and you just hear noise.
Right.
So people are making records where they intentionally make it go beyond zero for fractions of a second. So it's not, it doesn't just stay there, but it goes up.
Yeah, we've talked about stuff like that
distortions,
before. Interesting.
So it's like people are making records, mixing that. This isn't a mastering issue. This is how they're recorded and mixed.
Yeah.
To purposely sound like crap.
Yeah, that's strange.
So the mastering part of it, whether it's mastered for iTunes or mastered for a CD, it's already like screwed to begin with.
Yeah.
So
there was a story earlier this year about Neil Young, right, working with Steve Jobs about bringing lossless quality back to iTunes.
Right. Well, this is the weird thing. Apple
that's probably a good thing, though, right?
has a format, Apple Lossless.
Right.
Which they could just say, hey, we're going to do Apple Lossless. This is mastered for iTunes. It's just ridiculous.
Right.
It's almost like it's like a cheapening of it. You know what I mean?
It's just
like a
hype.
consumer.
It's just like they want to look like they care.
It's just another seal they can stamp on something.
Yeah. I don't know if they're charging more.
To me, and this isn't as, I guess this isn't completely the same sort of thing, but I think it's in that sort of area. You know, with the TVs now, where they sort of they have features where they make things super smooth. Have you seen stuff like this?
Yeah.
Right. So film shot at 24 frames a second. Everyone knows that. When you watch a movie on some of these televisions that bump that up artificially to something like 60 frames, you're not seeing what the filmmakers intended. You're seeing what your television is artificially creating, and it changes the aesthetic. It changes the viewing experience. There's something unique about watching a 24 frames per second film, and then when you go to this thing which creates the illusion that it's much smoother, it almost makes film look like video, which is a really weird thing. And this thing is, from what I gather, is catching on. And people want this.
It's like colorizing black and white movies.
Exactly.
It's kind of like, we got to make it look more, whatever.
For sure. And to me, it looks like a joke, and people are eating this up. I don't understand it. If you watch a CG scene, right, that's done in 24 frames and then brought over into this like 120 hertz thing where it creates the illusion of more frames per second, it looks like trash. It looks like some idiot did it real quick at home. It's ridiculous, and I don't understand why it's catching on. Same sort of thing where they're doing this like artificial production to get people think they're getting something that maybe they're not. I don't know.
Speaking of getting things that we're not.
Yeah.
I never understand why the prices of downloads,
right,
or digital versions of, cost more or less the same as the physical product.
What?
Like an iTunes download is typically $9.99.
Yeah.
But you can sometimes buy the CD for $9.99.
Right.
Sometimes less, sometimes $1 or $2 more. But it's like with a CD, they had to manufacture it, put it in a truck, ship it someplace, warehouse it, move it around. There's a lot of handling and people involved in doing it.
Right.
Or the New York, I checked this morning on the New York Times website. To get a digital subscription to the New York Times, there's various rates.
Right.
But the top rate is like $8.95 a week.
Yeah, it's expensive.
Do you know how much it costs to get the New York Times delivered to your house 7 days a week?
How much?
I think $9.
So you're saving 5 cents.
So, it's actually $5.85 for the first 12 weeks, and then $11.70 after that. For the 7 days a week at the New York Times.
And that's
which they had to print, put in a truck. Someone has to bring it to your apartment.
Right. It costs fuel, manpower, everything.
Manpower. Why is it? I mean, I don't want anything to happen to the New York Times. But
of course.
Shouldn't it be like $1? I mean, all the things that they're not spending money on?
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on this. I was always very blown away at how much a digital subscription to the Times costs.
But all things, it's like on Amazon, to buy the DVD could cost $11.99. To get the Amazon download of the movie is $11.99.
Yeah.
But the New York Times online version offers more than what the print version gives you. Right? You get like multimedia access, you get exclusive videos and more photos and higher resolution than you would see in the paper.
But do you think the added content is worth the increase in price?
If you're consuming media that requires that kind of extra stuff, then yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think their rationalization is that there's like this convenience,
right?
And these things are tailored. I mean, obviously,
and you can access it on multiple channels,
right?
On your iPad or your phone.
I'm not saying I agree or disagree with you. Yeah. I obviously don't want to be paying more for something I physically can't hold in my hand.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where you're sort of
to turn the argument around 180 degrees. It brings it up the point that the actual cost of the thing, whether it's a physical thing or a virtual thing, isn't the cost of the thing.
Yeah,
it's
not the
cost
physical
associated with making it.
Right.
Like the people writing the articles for the New York Times.
Right.
For their offices. It's not like when it's virtual, they don't have to have offices in Manhattan.
Of course.
All over the world.
They also
still
need
have
to pay graphic designers.
And graphic designers and stuff.
You're talking about the actual production cost of physical materials and delivering that and all the natural resources.
So the difference between the virtual and the reality is in manufacturing the thing.
Right.
But the costs that go into making the thing
right.
are exactly the same.
Right. Well,
and those are really what determines the price of a thing.
Of course.
It's like we talked about this with iPhones and stuff. It's not just the thing that's in the phone. It's the licenses, the factory, all the other the costs of making the thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Rather than say, that chip costs $4 or something. How come it's a $200 product?
I'm with you. Silverblade in the chat room brings up an interesting point. Not sure if it's correct or what, but it's a good thought. He says it's because they want to, keep the physical distribution in place. If they offered the subscription at a much lower rate, people would switch, and they may not be able to produce as much content. Maybe that's sort of the sticking point.
I think that's valid.
I mean, I understand what he's saying. If the Times was $100 a year digital, I'd be getting it. You know what I mean? But it's not. It's like $395. It's like $395 or something like that. Too much money.
Well, how much does the daily cost? Because
the daily's $40 a year.
Yeah.
That's nothing, and that's a daily publication. Nowhere near the amount of content that the Times has, but you're still getting that sort of daily periodical experience. Plus, it's only digital. Right? There's no, Times still has to pay to manufacture all these millions of newspapers. So I don't know. It's a weird, dicey sort of thing, but I like talking about it.
Does New York still have those dispensers on the side of the street that you can just put $1.25 into in quarters and get a paper?
I don't think so.
Or take 15 for free? No?
Yeah.
They're all out of bodegas now, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. They, for whatever reason, the honor system wasn't working. I don't know. That you'd pop in a quarter and you'd take 40 newspapers.
Right, exactly.
But what's the difference? I mean, and now, you go to bodega and there's just like a rock on top of 48 copies of the Times.
Yeah, exactly.
And like a little tin cup that you drop your change. I mean, what's the difference?
Yeah.
You don't even have to pay. You just steal it.
Yeah, it's weird. One of our coworkers actually buys the Sunday newspaper just to get the advertisements, just to look through all the new products and whatnot, because it's actually cheaper to buy the physical paper than it is to purchase a Sunday-only digital subscription.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting, right?
But on Sunday, like when they have the special sections like the style, that glossy thing, is that in the digital version too?
I don't think so.
Yeah,
No.
I don't know. Whatever, guys. I still pirate my my newspapers.
Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
It's true.
There's none of that.
Yeah.
I know it's every day, but it's funny.
Yeah.
That's the one. That's all you got to do is just make something new every day, and no one will ever pirate it.
And newspapers have an aftermarket shelf life too. Like you're not
Do
gonna.
they?
Yeah, you're not gonna stuff digital articles in your hamster cage just like afterwards.
No.
You can do a lot of stuff with newspapers after you read it.
Yeah, paper mache.
Exactly.
There's plenty of uses. It's strange. My dad has a thing where like he has to buy the paper every day.
Yeah.
And he definitely doesn't read it every day.
No, my stepdad does that too. There's like bales of newspapers in the apartment.
And some of my childhood was wrapping them up and putting them out for recycle.
In other newspapers.
Yeah, and being like, this is clearly an untouched Sunday edition of the Daily News.
It's just a comfort knowing it's there.
I guess, and paying whatever it was every day.
Yeah.
It's crazy. What else you got for us today,
I want to
Steve?
thank Dr. Dre and Jimmy Iovine for making the $300 headphones.
Really?
Hip.
You would like to personally
Yes, I
thank
want to personally thank
Dr. Dre.
Even though Justin and I suffered through an awful press conference a couple of years ago. It was mind-numbingly awful.
I've never heard so many buzzwords used by
we're very
a PR
excited.
company
Was the
before.
key, it was the theme about our new line of
I
don't
can't.
be headphones.
Yeah, you're being sarcastic right now,
Well,
right?
no, but
you clearly
I'm
hate
being
Dr.
sarcastic
Dre.
and serious at the same
You,
time.
I can sense that as well.
But it's
I'm
not
complicated.
It's
Yeah.
not Dr. Dre anymore. Remember we reported at
yeah.
CES that those two are sort of breaking
Yeah.
up. Now it's
Well,
just Jimmy
but it
Iovine and
started with
Monster.
that.
Right.
But anyway, because they made it that non-audiophile people
Mm-hmm.
would consider buying something that they perceived, rightly or wrongly, as a better sounding alternative to what they had.
This is true.
So where before the average non-audiophile would say, "I'm not going to spend more than $50 on a headphone,"
Yeah.
now they can,
Yeah.
and they don't see it as extreme.
Um,
And they could become, future generations of audiophiles. Where
Right.
before, I used to think that there isn't going to be any.
yeah.
Now, do you think it's worse that there are young audiophiles that are maybe listening to the wrong type of headphones and getting the wrong kind of sound as opposed to there not being audiophiles at all? Which would you
That's
rather
why
have?
I asked you to have that picture handy.
I got it.
You got it?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now
Because
I'm
good
confused.
sound
yeah.
is can be measured, but it's mostly a matter of taste. And
right,
opinion.
Right.
and preference.
So it's like opinions of what things, what sounds good and what is good. They're fluid. They change over time.
You're single-handedly invalidating everything Cena's ever done.
No, that's not true
Sorry.
because
No,
we
I'm
don't
messing
measure.
up.
We don't measure
course,
sound for
right.
the
And
test.
here's why you can't.
Okay.
I mean, unless you're an engineer. This image is a speaker measurement.
Uh-huh.
And it looks like a wavy line to me.
Right.
And the guy that measured it is a friend of mine, Brent Butterworth.
Mhm.
And I said, "And is this a good measurement? This is something that sounds good?" And he said, "Yeah."
Mm.
And I said, "Really? You can look at that and say that sounds good? That thing that goes like
He can
this,
see
like this?"
sound.
Yeah, he can see sound. Right.
But did you listen to the speakers that this was measuring?
No.
Because I would be interested to know what.
But I'm
your
saying
opinion would
if
be.
it was a speaker that sounded like crap, it
Right.
would have a different sets of waves. in it,
Yeah.
Right.
So the point is, it's so subjective.
Oh, of
It
course.
just is, and
And that's the way it's
okay.
always going to sort of
And
be.
that's the way it's going to be. So,
But the Oscars are subjective. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So, but I still think there's like a common agreement that everyone has on what.
that Midnight in
Yeah.
Paris sucked.
No, I see. You hate this movie. I don't understand.
Give it up.
I know, but but you try and act like. Well, to me personally,
Mm-hmm.
I think there is a certain buffer zone
Right.
of what sounds good that maybe a lot of people's opinions exist in.
Like we can all agree that the Apple iPod headphones that come stock
Right.
with that
Right.
device sound
Suck.
like crap.
Yeah.
But I think once you get toward the upper end of the headphones, like
Yeah.
after you're spending a
Well,
couple
you know,
$100,
forget-
might not be so.
Putting aside, playback stuff.
Mm-hmm.
If you just talk about recordings, well, a good sounding recording of a piano would sound as much like that is the sound of a piano,
Mm-hmm.
right? But once you get into the sound of what a hip hop record should sound like, or
Right.
a record with a lot of electronic, there's nothing to reference it
Right,
to
there's-
say that's what it's supposed to sound like.
Right, there's
Because
no.
if your speakers were broken and you were listening to electronica,
Right.
you couldn't tell. You say, "Wow, it's a really cool buzz." The way that thing is.
Yeah, what are they doing?
Right.
Yeah.
No, it's not the sound of the recording. Your headphones are broken, but you can't tell the difference
Yeah,
because
that's
there's
funny.
nothing
Yeah.
to reference. I'm not putting down the kind of music. I'm saying there's
No.
nothing to reference against.
I also think that you could argue that the Monster headphones do make that kind of music sound better. Like you would probably prefer to listen through
Right.
those headphones
Right.
than with, say, like a Grado headphone.
Right.
Which is
So-
bizarre too. So it's hard to say what is a good headphone or not if you're not talking about what music you're listening to.
Right. Like some are more appropriate for certain kinds of
Right.
things.
When you say you want to thank Dr. Dre, you're talking about the
I'm-
Beats headphones,
For the
right?
Beats headphones, yeah.
So now,
Because he made it possible that now people who would never spend $300 for headphones, now that threshold is passed, when they get older, they start listening to Judy Garland records or something,
Yeah.
and they want to listen to more acoustic music, it won't be a shock to them to say, "Oh, I have to spend $300 to get something that makes
Right.
that sound good."
Right.
but don't you think that
That's what I'm thinking.
are those headphones good?
The Monster Beats? No.
They're,
Dr.
well, they're
Dre
good for their
Beats?
intended buyer.
I don't know. I would give a bad review. I didn't do the initial one,
You're
but
talking
I would
about
give
the
a bad
ones with the
review.
bees, the
yeah,
big overhead?
Right. The
Yeah.
black and the red ones. Just
They're
based
not good.
I don't like their physical build, and to me,
Yeah,
that's a
I think they're very
huge
creaky
detractor from the overall
plastic.
review.
All right,
things, yeah.
but screw that. Tell me
Yeah.
about the sound, the actual sound.
They do emphasize the bass a lot, so
Right.
if that's the
And the highs.
right, if that's what your main concern is, then yeah, you're gonna like the way they sound.
Because
I mean,
for
I
a lot of people, the more the better.
Right, the more
comes to bass.
bass for what is like currency in audio world.
Right.
It's just people love it. They can't
Right.
get enough of it. They want everything vibrating. I understand that. But
to me, I want more bass at a lower volume, and I think with the Monster Beats, you do have to crank it up all the way to get that overall sound.
well, either way, I see these things on everybody's head, and
Yeah.
I'm not just like like the people who are clearly listening to hip hop or stuff like that.
You know what?
I'm talking about like women.
I'm going to make
and-
an analogy.
Okay.
David Katzmeyer, our video reviewer here,
Yeah.
right?
TVs.
When he reviews TVs, he calibrates them.
Right, to a certain
He puts
specific.
a couple of hours of time into each TV and makes it as good as it can be.
Right.
Right. But most people, whether they're garbage men or law professors, when they buy that Samsung TV, they're going to put it in blowtorch mode.
Right.
Right.
Those greens are going to bam, like jump out
Burn
of the
your
screen,
retinas
right?
out. Yeah.
So all the things that Katzmeyer is using to describe that this TV is better than that TV, in the real world, people want too much bass. They want too much green. They want those colors to just jump out.
Do you think it's an American thing?
It tends to be, yeah.
We just we can't have
It's
our
a
share.
sensation.
We just
You know,
can't
we
have
need
like
more sensation.
can't have like, oh, this is a serving size for a human. It needs
need
to
a
be
big gulp.
It needs
We
to be
need
like, oh my
32
god, do you
ounces.
think I could have a stroke from this? Like, do you think I could really make myself pass out from this? Give me that serving size.
I think my biggest problem with the celebrity endorsed headphones is that they're starting to put more emphasis on the design
Yeah.
Oh,
than
yeah.
the sound quality, which I'm okay with because up until a couple years
Because
ago,
it's a
headphones
fashion
did look like
accessory.
crap.
But it's a fashion accessory.
Right, and I like the way that, for example, like the in-case headphones that you're using right now, I'm reviewing those,
I like
and they
it.
look great, but they also feel good too, and
They
they're
feel
modular, and it just makes sense. Then you look at something like this picture, Lil Wayne wearing his $1 million diamond-studded headphones. These are actually being sold by Monster. These aren't custom joints that he put together.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Monster is selling these for $1 million.
Oh, wow.
And some idiot's gonna buy these thinking they're getting the best quality
No one's
sound.
gonna buy that.
I don't know.
$1 million headphones.
This guy did, and
you
he didn't
can
know that you could spend $250 on a pair of Grados and get better sound. I guess that's not what he's looking
He's
for.
not. He's looking to,
But he's at a
fashion.
basketball game. What do you need to
Yeah,
be
that
listening
does-
to
can we look
giant
back-
DJ
look-
headphones for
what
at the
is-
NBA All-Star
That's
game?
sort of disrespectful,
Look,
isn't
even
it?
Drake there can't believe what he's seeing.
Drake's like, what are you doing, man? There's a
Can't even-
basketball game going on in front of you, you
Take
big
the
idiot.
sunglasses off. The sun doesn't set on cool.
Get the crap out of your ears.
It's ridiculous. I don't know. I'm just really
These
upset with this
people.
kind of crap.
These people. No, but I think if you are the type of person
Yeah.
who can afford $1 million headphones, you've made a couple good decisions in your life, probably.
Yeah.
Probably not going to make that
You can
decision
afford
of
to make
making
one
a
bad.
$1 million headphone purchase.
Right.
I'm just throwing
I
it out
guess
there.
so.
You know?
Like if you had a diamond-studded pair of Sennheisers, like HD 600s, and I'd be like, okay, yeah, that's fine, that's worth it. But it's like polishing a turd, man. Why would you put diamonds on Monster?
It's like polishing a turd.
Does
Who puts
not
it better?
Whoever came, where did that come from?
I don't know, but it's a
That's
great.
so perfect.
It's a great little cliche there.
Awful.
For sure. All right, we don't have too much time left. Steve, if you have anything else you want to talk about, because we can get into something that you might be able to add to.
All right, go ahead.
All right, Ghostbusters. Yeah, we all love Ghostbusters.
Mhm.
At CES, the lovely, beautifully talented Eliza Dushku was on stage with us telling us that she may or may not be involved in Ghostbusters 3.
Right.
But it turns out on GeekTyrant.com, now I've never been to the site, I don't know how much credibility they do have, but our friend Seth sent this in, and the headline says, Bill Murray will definitely not be in Ghostbusters 3. So here's the article that we're looking at here.
What is this picture from,
He
by
won't
the
be
way?
in Ghostbusters 3, but has no problem donning the Ghostbusters suit for public engagements
Right.
at a price.
He
I think-
does?
Yeah, dude, look at the photo up here. This
that
was
what
him
that's
at the
from?
Scream Awards, I think, on Spike TV,
Ah.
where somebody paid him to put on a Peter Venkman costume, and he had no problem slipping that thing on. But when Ivan Reitman and the whole Ghostbusters crew want to get back together and possibly make a legitimate sequel,
I think that's
Right.
a bargaining thing.
He
I think he
says-
just wants more money.
well, I can't agree
He wants
with
those
that.
headphones. He said, "Now throw in the headphones."
And I'm in.
consider.
I'll do it.
I'm in.
Well, let's try and look at this seriously, though. Ghostbusters, one of the greatest film franchises. I mean, I'm just gonna say, I know they're not Oscar-worthy films, but there's something about those movies that
Right.
are fantastic. Maybe it's the New York thing, maybe it's these comedians, whatever it is. I love Ghostbusters, and as sort of adamant I've been about not making a Ghostbusters 3, all this talk has gotten me to the point where it's just like, just do it already, get it over with so I can hate it, and I'll move on with my life.
I mean, maybe Bill Murray sees something that we don't, and he finds all these reboots lately to be really sickening. Like, do we need a Terminator Salvation?
No.
This trilogy would have been way better if they had just stopped it there.
Now,
Maybe Bill Murray agrees.
okay, and I agree with you,
Yeah.
but let's not forget the amount of sort of careful planning and pre-production that has gone into Ghostbusters 3.
Yeah.
Not only are everyone signed up except for Bill Murray, and we're talking down to the director, Ivan Reitman. He's on board. Everyone else is on board. Apparently, Bill Murray is like the one, missing cog to this whole equation.
Right.
And for whatever reason, he just does not want to get involved. Now, I can relate. I think he's siding with like the fanboys of the world,
Right.
who are like, "Look, it doesn't matter.
I
We're
agree.
old. I don't care if the script is great."
Yeah.
Because I'm sure somebody read the original Ghostbusters script and was like, "This steaming pile of crap will not do anything."
Well, Jeff, you're a huge Ghostbusters fan.
Yeah.
Arguably more than myself. But don't you think that part of the appeal of the original movies was that it was based out of that 80s New York
Yes.
nostalgia?
Yes.
And that they looked young and the animation looked like crap
Yes.
and the CGI was
Well,
terrible?
no, I don't
like that was all part of the
charm.
Yeah, exactly. So when you bring it into this
Yeah.
age, you're going to have it in 3D. It's going to be everything's
going
to look way too
It's
good.
going to look a proton pack is just going to look ridiculous.
It's not cool.
Don't look. If I had a choice, I'm siding on the end of
So
the
maybe
table that says
Bill
no,
Murray's
don't do
right.
it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
Bill Murray's
I-
right.
I think
so I thought
he-
you were hammering for
No, I'm not.
holding out.
I'm just saying, like,
It's been 30
we've been-
years.
It's been a really long time.
Yeah.
And it's like one of the hottest topic in geekdom right now is like this sequel.
Right.
And you know what? I just hope that the problem is that if he doesn't sign up to do it, they might still do it. And that's where you got to really have a problem.
I think they can get Adrian Brody.
Yeah.
Right? Like, was that
Yeah, that would probably happen.
you'd be okay
In
with that?
3D, his nose, man. Whoa!
Again, no comment on that. Jay Call in the chat room says they're probably going to remix the Ghostbusters song too, which would be total blasphemy, right? Can't
Have
you
like
imagine
some
like Lil Wayne probably
dickhead Lil
popping
Wayne
in
come up and just
with
like
a cameo?
Yeah. No, thank you. Although I can't really see these people allowing that to happen. You gotta hope Harold Ramis and Dan Aykroyd and Ivan Reitman would like sign a blood treaty where they're just like, no one can compromise the integrity
Yeah.
of this film. But these days, who knows what's gonna happen?
And by virtue of their age, the story's going to have to be like it's been 30 years.
Right,
And
yeah.
Let's get back
Ghostbusters
together.
returned
Yeah.
to New York.
Like, what's
That's
gonna
gross.
happen?
I don't want to think about that.
And
stuff.
had there not been any sort of supernatural incident in New York for
Right.
30 years, that all of a sudden, the River of
they
Slime's
do?
back?
Right, and
Like,
they have to
what's
like take
going
off their
on?
tie and don the
You know
proton
what?
packs again.
In
Disgusting.
the 70s, I kept thinking, man, wouldn't it be great if the Beatles got back together?
Yeah.
But looking back, it was so great that the Beatles didn't get back
Yeah, for
together.
sure. Some things are better left
Just-
alone.
They did it. It's done.
Just go back and watch the old movies.
watch the old movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God
They're
forbid you
still
come up
good.
with a freaking original idea. Wouldn't
Yeah.
that be something?
Yeah.
Damn it!
Too much of
I'm
that.
just getting
Look at
pissed.
Broadway. Every Broadway show is a movie or
Yeah.
a cartoon.
It's every
or
movie
something.
that comes out.
don't know
It's a
what came
book.
first.
It cannot make it original.
It's
impossible.
Freaking believable the lack of originality out there. And you know what? I'm not saying I don't think it. I think there are original pieces out there. There has to be.
There are.
But the fact is that no one's willing to take a chance on that sort of stuff.
yeah.
And that's the real big issue.
And you know
I
what?
have.
If you think of it in the context of the time, I think I told you the story once that I had a friend that worked in a screening room, and he was screening Star Wars like a month before it came out. And he said to me, Steve, you better see this movie quick because, what is it? Paramount, 20th Century Fox has no belief in this movie. They think it's going to open and close in a week. Because they said, science fiction, space movies?
Yeah.
Who gives a crap about
Yeah.
those?
Right.
You know? So it's like even the people who are supposed to know,
yeah,
they
know.
don't know.
No idea.
they don't
and,
know.
And I love
They
these.
could have like the biggest thing,
right.
and it's presented on a silver platter to them, and they go, I don't know.
Yeah.
Space movie? Who gives
Maybe.
a
Let's
crap?
roll the dice. No one's willing to take that chance anymore.
So
And-
even if it had one, they wouldn't know it.
Yeah, and they would
Which is their problem.
they would bury it. They
Right.
would they would like come out in New York and L.A. in like 4 theaters, and that'd be that. That'd
Right.
be the end of it. And then it would win an Oscar.
Well, let's not get crazy.
Let's not get too crazy. All right, that's gonna do it for us today. Big thank you to Steve Sphere Guttenberg for being on the program. Follow
Pleasure.
him, Audiophiliac Man.
Yes, please follow him.
Please do him the pleasure of following
Closing
him.
in on 3,000.
All right, Mazel Tov, this guy over
They could
here.
put me over the top.
You could. Let's make it happen for Steve. Programming notes for our fine program. No new shows tomorrow, Friday, or Monday. Justin will be creating reruns. We never did that.
Huh?
We've done reruns before, but we're gonna have like awesome reruns.
Yeah,
Great
definitely.
shows from our amazing library of 1,000 episodes. We'll pick out 3 episodes to do for everybody,
3 of 'em.
and they'll have fun.
Are they all on video too?
Yep. We'll post
the
videos up.
majority of them are.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And that means we'll be back with a new show on Tuesday, March 6th.
Yes.
Is the
Do people tune in?
people watch live?
They got like a dial.
Yeah, they tune in on their UHF, rabbit ear
The rabbit
television.
ear moving around, put aluminum foil.
Yeah.
in the bed.
We'll see you guys on Tuesday with a new show. Have a great rest of the week and weekend. We'll see you then. I'm Jeff Bagalar.
I'm Steve Guttenberg.
And I'm Justin Yu.
It's the 404, high tech, lowbrow. We'll see you guys soon. Later.